Hi, it's Kirith here. I'm very excited to bring you this Club 100 race against Next Gen Racing. It's a team versus team on GT Sport. Some very fast names on the left there you might recognise from FIA, VLX Sparks, Treviso, NM1M, Marky Boy, and I've somehow ended up P7 on the grid, so bang in the middle. From qualifying, we had a good slipstream train going, the Club 100 boys in the red and black livery here, Next Gen Racing in the yellow. This was live streamed at the same time with commentary, so I'll put a link to that in the description below. But first corner coming up, always really hairy at Interlagos for me. You don't want to let anyone around the outside here. And I can see there's some argy-bargy behind, but I'm just about making it through. So keeping 7th place, still in touch with this train ahead. Now I really have to be on my absolute A game in this race, because the names I was rattling off earlier, they will be in top split FIA races. You'll see them setting top 10 daily race times, so the fact that I'm even here is pretty cool, but I cannot afford to make any mistakes. And actually, although the slipstream was important for qualifying, when it comes to those hundredths of a second, in the race it's not going to help too much because it's set to real, which is actually the weakest setting. It's actually weaker than weak, although it doesn't make any sense. So just got to not make any mistakes and drive to my best. And the fact I'm here is great. Hopefully you enjoy it. Hopefully you can see that GT Sport can have some absolutely fantastic racing that maybe you don't see in the daily races or FIA if you're in lower splits where it's all a bit crazy. So if you do like this video, please feel free to subscribe. Please ask any questions you have in the comments. I try and answer everything, and it's always really good to kind of feel like I can help you with your racing if there's something I know that I can tell you. But anyway, back to the race. So Next Gen Racing, they've got a 1 and 2, and then it's the Club 100 boys falling with them here in a little bit of a train. Now this is my weakest corner of the track, Juncal. I just always feel like I make a mess of that, and you can see I'm acting as a little bit of a rear gunner here because the guy behind me is Next Gen, so Club 100 running from 3rd to 7th and then Next Gen behind, so I don't want to let this guy past. But at this stand of the racing, if someone gets longer inside, then you kind of have to concede the position and try and make it through 2x2. A lot of tactics here. Is it better to let someone get through rather than fighting and losing time? So we're going to see all of that in this race. Now this, to me, Interlagos comes down really to the last corner, Juncal, and also that complex there, the first couple of corners. The rest of Interlagos for me is kind of much of a muchness. So we'll run through here. So this corner, just don't run too wide, and then the rest of this is very simple. Keep to the inside here, just modulate your speed. Hairpin drops second gear until you can accelerate out. This corner again, don't spin out on exit. And then we get to Juncal. So all of that bit, to me, you can kind of do with your eyes closed. But this corner, it's my absolute nemesis, and it's where I get overtaken on this track. So you can see I kind of struggle through the gears there. I really struggle in other cars as well, kind of heavier cars. And the Megane actually picks up speed quickly, which kind of saves me. Now we can see we've got a Next Gen racer behind, so he's going to have a little bit of a run. The slipstream's not going to help him massively. I don't go defensive here because I just want to keep in touch with the guys ahead. Kind of make it okay through the first part, but then sliding, and there's a bit of contact as I was sliding. So, I mean, on the one hand, that's kind of my fault for being a bit messy for that corner, but we make contact. Anyway, let another Club 100 driver through, so no harm done really. But just to re-emphasise it, to me, Interlagos comes down to your exit out of Juncal. If you get a better exit than the person ahead of you, you're going to be side by side going into the first couple of corners. And it's always a bit messy through there, because if you take the inside line through turn 1, you end up on the outside through turn 2 and vice versa. So you need to really race with respect through those couple of corners again side by side. And that's why I think Interlagos falls down a little bit on the daily races, because if you don't have that respect with some randomer that's in your lobby, that's when people get punted off, and that's when tempers start to flare. But you can see there we kind of keeping to our lines, and once you take your line through the corner you stick to it, and that means that no one's going to get spun around. So anyway, back to the race. P8 now, but following Marky Boy, incredibly fast driver, GC Academy finalist I think on multiple occasions, so if I can just hang on to his coattails, might still catch up with this group ahead. Feeling pretty good at the moment, as I know another sliding mess around Juncal, but feeling pretty good generally, that keeping up with these guys. This is meant to be the faster lobby. There was a lobby 2 as well, so I do want to kind of have some decent pace here and doing that okay. But you can see VLX Sparks is on a 32.8, which I think is faster than any time in qualifying, and he didn't have a slipstream, so that is absolutely insane pace. As we try and make a better line through the first couple of corners, and it's not too bad. Something's happened to Craig Brown behind, but keeping up this train here. Right, we're going to zoom ahead now, so zoom ahead quite a lot, so only 5 minutes to go And essentially I'm still in P8, but I just dropped out of the slipstream frame, so falling into the clutches of Burnt Fry behind a next gen racer. So trying to fend him off, get as many points for Club 100 as possible. But at this point of the race, I was I'd lost a slipstream ahead, and I was a little bit concerned about Burnt Fry, so I was driving poorly, to be honest with you. You can see here, kind of off and on the throttle. I tend to find I know when I'm driving poorly when I make bad choices with gear changes. So corners that, when I'm subconsciously driving, my gear changes are just second nature. When I'm driving poorly, I make a mess of them, and you can see I did exactly that with that little complex there. And sliding around here as well into the hairpin. Am I going to try and get on the power too early? Possibly. Actually, not too bad. But I've lost track a little bit with that train ahead, and having to be very defensive now. It's going to come down to junk out, my nemesis. So if I get a bad exit out of there, then he's going to be right alongside me going down the home straight. Let's have a look here. Actually, that wasn't too bad, to be honest with you. I've done a lot worse through there. You can see I'm catching slightly the guy in 7th place. That's often a good indication of whether I'll get a good exit or not, but he's still alongside. I'm going to go very defensive here, set up my stall early, and let's see what he does. He's still right behind me, so I don't want to leave this defensive line yet. Now I can start to creep over to the right hand side as we go through here, side by side. And you can see he's on the outside now, but he's going to be on the inside here. And I gave him... Ooh, okay, that's a bit marginal. I probably went a little bit close to the apex than I needed to, but again, you just need to have that respect going through those two corners. And at the end of the day, we're both still put in the same direction, but I've come up slightly on top. So let's see what happens here. I think probably not going to fight this too hard because I was a bit aggressive in turn 1, turn 2. And you can see he gets around the outside here. Got Craig Brown behind as well. Might choose to let him through here if I think I'm driving particularly poorly, so I can just follow him and hopefully we both get past him. But let's have a look. And you can see here, yeah, I was on the radio comms here, just letting him know, look, if you get an opportunity here, just go through. And that's what happens, I just put out of the way. So, I'm going to try and follow these two now. Now, this is a little tip that I find helpful. If you're driving poorly, and it happens to everyone where you just lose your rhythm, you're getting a little bit frustrated, things just aren't clicking as they normally do, it's not a bad idea to just drop behind another driver. It's not always a bad idea to drop behind another driver. Just get back in the rhythm, kind of use them to get back into your subconscious rhythm of braking points, turning points, etc. And that's what I'm trying to do here. So we'll see if it works if I catch up with these two, because I was definitely driving worse than them for the last couple of laps. So if I can get back up with them, and hopefully that shows that, you know, I've re-clicked things against my driving. But that's part of the fun of driving. Happens in karting, happens in sim racing. It's a battle. Battle's the wrong word, but it's a process that you go through with yourself a lot of the time, irrespective of the other drivers on the track. As we try and get through the first couple of corners, I feel like I've gained slightly, and of course these two drivers have penalties, which they're going to have to serve at some point. We're getting very close to the end of the race. Let's zoom ahead now to see if I can get even closer. And you can see I'm getting back into the swing of things, closing this gap up. Craig gets a little bit messy through that part there. We're going to go into the hairpin. Craig simultaneously messy, but also very close to the driver ahead. So I think just on the limit, trying to make the overtake. You can see here there was a little twitch there where he went right, which is unusual. Absolutely incredible to hold that spin there. And I'm going to dive through here. So now my chance, or my kind of got to take up the mantle of trying to get another position for Club 100. The guy ahead is the 3rd next gen racer on track, so it would be good if we could demote him behind us. So we're going to go over the start and finish line now, and I think this is going to be the last lap because there won't be time to do another lap, and about 1 second behind. So let's see if I can close that up. I mean, this is real pressure when it comes to the last lap of a race, especially a race in a kind of competition like this where everyone's very fast, and just finishing one position ahead can make a big difference to kind of how you feel that race went. Let's have a look here. So it was the gap went down to about half a second through the mid part of those corners, so I think I'm doing a little bit better. And again here, are we catching slightly? Yes, there's going to be about a half a second at the next corner as well, so definitely cutting that gap. And that was actually my fastest sector of the race, so for some reason I'm really on it right now, but then make a mess of that. It's going a little bit too hard. So, and just on the subject of laps, if you have a look there, my last lap was the fastest lap of the race. So I think getting back in the rhythm by following the cars ahead did help me here. But here, running wide, just on the radio to Craig, letting him know, look, you go through, you have a go. Because the guy ahead has a slight penalty, although I think he just got it down to 0.0, so he's got a fraction left. But we were discussing that if he goes over the start-finish line with any kind of penalty under a second, it will round up to a second, but he serves it there. So I think that's probably going to be it, unless he makes an absolute mess out of junk out. It's going to be fair play to the next gen racer, and unfortunately I couldn't quite keep him behind and keep those points for Club 100, but it is what it is. Go through junk out. I'll be glad to see the end of that corner. I think, to be honest, I need to do the circuit experience, or that part of Gran Turismo where you just do specific corners, and just keep doing that and getting comfortable with it, because it's a bit silly how it holds me back actually. So going over the start finish line here, I think Craig pulls back. Don't think he was saving penalty, I think he was just giving you the place back, which is very kind. And you can see here, finishing in 9th place out of 14th, I think one of the drivers dropped out. So to be honest, overall, pretty happy with that performance to be in the middle of the pack, considering the field was so strong. So I hope you enjoyed that. I've got the link below to the full streamed version with commentary as we look over that pretty cool livery there. And I'll have some more Club 100 racing for you pretty soon, because there's going to be another iRacing race this weekend. So hope you enjoyed it. Please do subscribe or leave a comment if you like the video, and I will see you again soon.